Hello and welcome back to Good Germs Off-Road Adventures. Welcome back to the shop and welcome back to our project Polaris Sportsman 700 Twin from the 2003 that we like to call Billy Badass. In this video, the plan is we're going to put the plastic back on it. I hope. Stick around. So I've gone ahead and laid out all the plastic bits, racks, seat, all those things over here on the ground as we prepare to go ahead and try to clean them up a bit. But for a quick reminder, this is what it looks like presently. So we've got the racks, the front bumper with the LED light that may or may not stay with it. But you know, we've got these fenders and you know, they're pretty stained and ugly. I don't think we're going to be able to get most of that out, but at least we can make them clean because right now they are filthy. I've looked at different polishes and ideas and ways to clean. I can't find anything. I've actually been polishing on the front hood, I guess is what you might call it, to see if I can make any sort of difference, and it really didn't make much difference. You know, it's still got the stain marks on it. It's smoother now because it's polished, but you know, it really doesn't look all that great. So we're just going to do our best to clean it up, put it back together. I'll be right back as I go ahead and set up out there and get ready to get to washing and go. You know, first it makes sense to me to just go ahead and start hitting it with water and trying to knock off as much of that junk and stuff that's in there as I can. You know, unfortunately, I don't know if this is coming out on the camera or not, but you can see this bad fading and staining that's on this fender as opposed to where it's nice and black where it was covered up. You know, I've said it before, if at all possible, please don't store these things outside. This is what happens, and that's pretty much irreversible. I've tried, like I mentioned just a little bit ago, on the hood part that actually fits here. I've tried several things to try to make that go away, and it just does not seem to want to go away. Maybe in the future we'll try something else, but I don't think it is repairable. Okay, so I've taken away all of the black plastic parts, and I don't mean the body panel type parts, but things like the racks, footwells, front bumper, all these bits right here. And I've taken them away because they're going to get a completely different kind of treatment, which we'll get into a little bit later. But for now, we're going to go ahead and suds up the remaining bits we have here, the seat, front fender, rear fender, side panels, and get to washing those. Well, that's pretty much that for now. Now we're gonna lug all these inside, dig out the quad, ATV four-wheeler. We'll start assembling and cleaning some other bits. I'll catch back up with you inside the shop here in just a moment. All right, first things first, really need to deal with what's left of the heat shielding under here. You know, we put the big gun pipe on there and we did wrap it in the fiberglass titanium, basically the heat shield wrap, you know, from the Amazon website. And if you don't remember, you know, it looks like this. But I don't trust that that's probably enough to go ahead and keep the fender from melting. So I'm going to go ahead, peel off what's left of this aluminum foil here and put in our own heat shielding. You've seen me do this before with Ruby Sue when we redid the heat shielding there. And, you know, I put some on the bottom of the gas tank here on Billy. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick and then catch back up to you once it's done. Okay, so we've got some newly improved heat shielding done on the inside of the fender there. Just want to protect on it. It doesn't look great, but we don't want it to melt is what I'm saying. Anyway, so we're going to start some reassembly and kind of do some washing things as we go. I've already bolted this footwell in, and I did not put in this side footwell just to show you all something. This side gets these spacers that sit kind of there and there. And this is, I don't know if it's unique to the 700, but on this one, this side gets the spacers and the other side gets no spacers. I'm pretty certain on the 500 we used to have, it was both sides, but at the rear part, and I think Ruby is similar to that. Just pay attention when you take them off. Also, you'll notice the bolts and screw, or the nut and screw combo that holds the footwell down to the platform there. On one side they are shorter, on the other side they're longer, you know, to accommodate the spacers, because that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt this one down, and then I'll catch back up to you with the next thing. Okay, so now I have both footwells mounted. When you're doing that, be careful if you're using a power tool. If you put too much oomph on it, the Ooga Doogas will suck the head of that screw right through the plastic. Trust me, I've learned the hard way in the past. Just get them snug, it's all they need. They're a nylon locking nut, they're not going anywhere. Anyway, I promised you I would show you how I was going to clean up these footwells and some of these hard black plastic parts, and I've already done the clutch cover. Show you what I'm on about. That clutch cover looks nice. So how I did that, it was pretty simple. I've got a mixture here of 60% bold linseed oil and 40% paint thinner, lacquer thinner. I think it's lacquer thinner. I don't know, I'll put it on the screen here because I can't seem to remember what I just mixed up 10 minutes ago. Anyway, you just put a little dab of this on a little rag. See, I got a rag here. And you just wipe it on your plastic, and it works pretty good. Now, I will warn you, it's probably quite flammable. Doesn't smell too bad, though. And it makes it nice. Supposedly, it's dust resistant. I really don't know. I guess we'll find out the first time we ride it. But let me show you how it goes. See, I'm just going to do a little dab. Well, hold on. Okay, see, I'm just going to do a little dab. It really doesn't take much. Just get some on your rag there and just wipe it on. Check this out. Look at that, and you can see the difference from that to where we stopped. Look, I realize I'm probably going overboard on some of these black plastics, considering the body is just not going to shine up properly, but I'm going to clean up what I can. So I'm going to go ahead, and as we're putting this back together, any parts like this, we'll put the bold linseed oil on it with the paint, lacquer, thinner, whatever the thinner is, mixture, and we'll make as much of it pretty as we possibly can. But in the meantime, I'm going to let you go while I go ahead and finish doing all this. Oh boy, and now for the first time in a while, we're starting to put some body work back on this thing. It's been off for so long it doesn't even want to fit. Lovely. So some of the hardware that is exposed up here, I'm actually going to be replacing with some new hardware. And it's not because it was broken, it's because the new hardware looks horrible. Sorry, the old hardware looks, the old English. Do you speak it? No, I don't. Anyway, the old hardware looks horrible. So we got new hardware. We got it from QuadLogic. I know I've mentioned them before in this build. They make a lot of good factory replica correct hardware for these. So we're going to be using that to reassemble everything back here. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. You know, we've got new hardware. It looks pretty good. Now, the only issue is when we get to the end, we're going to have some hardware left over, and hopefully I don't panic, start wondering where that hardware was supposed to go. Anyway. Well, I've accidentally got some of this linseed oil combo on some of the regular plastic, and well, that made a really nice difference. What do you say we just go for it? I ain't scared. Wow. Okay. This is probably going to collect dust like a damn dust magnet, but it's going to look good for 4 minutes anyway. Well, I'll bring you in a little closer. That is a miraculous transformation. So much so I'm going to have to clean this metal up down here, not with paint thinner, but, you know, clean it up a little bit. Look, I wasn't expecting that much of a difference right there. I think we're going to keep going. Well, we have to now. We've done the rear fender. The front fender, it is horrible. But, man, if we can get that to work and bring back some of the black in these fenders, let me show you what I'm talking about. We already washed them. But have a look. These look horrible. It would be absolutely outstanding if we could bring it back. What do you say we try? All right. Well, I don't know what exactly has happened, but, you know, we were filming on Billy here, putting it back together. Took about a 3-minute break, and the next thing I know, it's like 2 weeks later. Anyway, let me show you where we're at, because I don't remember what I filmed the last time I was out here filming it. So let me just give you an update where it's at and what we have to do next. So it's mostly back together. You know, we've got most of the plastics put back on. The seat looking pretty sharp. Way better than it did when we bought it anyhow. But I think the next thing we need to do is we need to get the headlight assembly put back on it. So I'm going to set you up on a tripod and go ahead and I guess start doing that. So I don't know if any of you recall, but when we first took this thing apart, I may have mentioned, I don't know, it's been a long time now. The bottom of the headlight pod, the plastic, it was a bit broken, so we ordered a brand new one. And we're finally going to get to use it. And I just realized I've got some prep work to do on this, and this is not the place to do the prep work. And also I'm kind of leaning over on my side right here, which is not the ideal filming position. That was a lot of words, but even though I've already set you up on a tripod, I'm going to have to move you again. Okay. Well, the biggest thing I have to do to prep this is put the 12-volt port in it. That's because the original one broke. I was going to reuse it, but let's go ahead and get this opened up. That's noisy. But yeah, let's start with the power port. You know what I mean. And that's easy enough. It just kind of scoots in the side right here. Kind of like that. And then this just threads in around it. Not too complicated at all. There we go. But I also have, done the battery tender thing. And I'm going to put that off on this side over here. But I want to do it in a location that's not going to disagree with the headlight. So I'm going to set the headlight on here. And as you can tell, I did not put a new headlight for this. That's okay. And I just want to get an idea of kind of where I can mount this thing. So that way it works with the headlight. So I think right about there is pretty good. For that, we're just going to use a Christmas tree bit. There you go. And put it in. So that's kind of roughly in a right there place. I'm going to go ahead and start it. Now I'm going to take the headlight back out of here. I actually managed to glue the headlight back together, so I didn't have to buy a new one. I don't know if it's going to hold on or not. Anyway, let's go ahead and take the nut thing off of here. And this is the same exact port, that I've got on the Chicken Hawk over there, the Hawkeye Polaris. And I actually added one of these to the Arctic Cat side by side as well. Because, I've mentioned it before, I like my batteries to have a good tendon to when they're just sitting. Okay. I don't want to make the hole too big, I just want to make it just enough big. And that's not big enough yet. Let's do one more step on the bit. And then I'm also going to possibly touch it from the backside. We'll see. Oh, that is perfect. And that's actually a really nice, good, tight fit on that. I guess pretty good on the Christmas tree step bit. All right, let's put the rubber seal on there for no reason. Go ahead and put this on. And actually, we don't have to put this on now. Probably better we don't. Get all the other stuff done first, but now this is ready to go together. Okay, now I can put you back over there where you were before when it wasn't the right angle to do the thing we needed to do because we forgot to do this first, and this is the first thing we had to do, so now it's done and we can do that over there. Sure. Oh, sorry, we're back. Okay, let's put you on the thing and get you going. All right, I wonder it. Okay, I think first I should probably go ahead and get some of these things zip tied back into their appropriate positions and kind of where they belong. I don't know if that goes there. I think it goes there. Yeah, okay. I don't know if any of you remember, but when we took this thing apart, somebody had put rubber hose on the handlebars here. I don't know what they thought they might have been protecting this thing from, but obviously was strange. All right, I think we're at a place where we can put our new lower headlight pod thing in. And just kind of loop it around, you know, not too complicated. We'll figure that out in a minute. Let's drop the screw. Where'd it go? There it is. Let's try that again. Okay. Before I go too much farther, I'm going to go ahead and turn the key on. You know, because we have power steering and I can turn the handlebars easy. I just want to make sure so far nothing is binding. We can go all the way that direction. And we can go all the way that direction. Perfect. Okay, the headlight's next. So this is the headlight plug, and it plugs into the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and plug that in now. See if it still works. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm going to come to that side so I can work that all into place. All right, I'm pretty sure I've got it right. It kind of loops behind there and then around the outside on those two hooks. I'm not 100% sure, but that looks right to me. It's not going anywhere. I'm sure it's fine. All right. Okay. Well, let's get the battery tender thing hooked up. That's a nice fitting spot for it. I'm just trying to make that as tight as I can with my fingers. That should be good enough. And then we'll bring the wires up to it in some sort of way. There we go, right up the middle. Why not? Okay. Now the one thing I did when I, in my mind, designed this feature is you'll notice the connectors, they're not the same, so that way you don't run the risk of switching up your polarity. So it's always correct when you go to put it back together. There we go. Lovely. I think we're ready to put the pod back on it, or the top of the pod. Let's plug in the long one first, and then get the short one that doesn't really have any slack in it. Let's just keep dropping this everywhere because that's helpful. Good thing about both of these, they can only plug in one way. There we go. Make sure it looks like it's hooked up. Oh yeah, it lights up nice, groovy. All right, and then it should fit quite nicely. think we'll have to put a zip tie there to hold that throttle in that place. That's okay. I adjusted the headlight so it looks better. Doesn't matter if it works or not. Anyway, I think we just need to now put the final 3 screws in. Oh, they're right here. And hopefully this goes straight into the hole. You don't want to overdo these because you're just screwing into plastic, you know. You overdo them, you end up breaking that plastic and then they don't work anymore. This screw actually goes through the lower part into the upper part and then into the bracket, the metal bracket, to hold it nice and solid, and this looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. And then, like I mentioned, I think we need a zip tie right here to keep that throttle cable from getting caught up. Yeah, it still feels good. Choke operates freely. I think that's good. And I think this one I'm going to leave a nice jagged edge so I cut myself later. Let's have a look at these. See, I don't think we actually need to tie any of this up. I think that all looks pretty good. Let's turn the key and operate the steering again from side to side. Make sure we're not binding anywhere. Nope. Well, that seems pretty good. Okay, let's put the hood on. Working on Captain No Brakes, I had to steal the clips to put it back together because it was missing the clips. So we got new clips on the bottom side of this. Something tells me I've got stuff a little bit out of order here. Like this is in the way to put this back on, which is not the case with some of the other quads. But this one's got this insert which comes all the way back, so groovy. So apparently with this particular quad, you have to actually remove the front rack and bumper assembly entirely to do anything with this part. There we go. That actually fits on there quite nicely. And now we're going to check the steering one more time. Seems okay. And now real quickly, I'm going to go ahead and put the bumper back on. That's good and stripped out. Gotta love that. All right. So all that's left now is the racks, and they're going to need some work. Let me show you the kind of work they're going to need, and then we'll start getting into that. Obviously, they're going to need brightening up, so we'll put the juice on it that we had earlier, the mixture that made the rest of the quad look a little better. But the racks, they're kind of, you know, they're banged up a little bit. And the front one, for some reason, is the wrong color. These from the factory were both silver. Maybe this got replaced. I don't know. But we're going to take care of both of these, sand them up, make them nice. We're going to go ahead and attempt to do it at least halfway right. We're going to prime it, and then we're going to paint it, but not until we sand it. So let's go ahead and get these metal parts separated from the plastic bits. I don't know what happened. I went to go turn the camera off to stop recording, and when I did that, it made it start recording. So I honestly don't know what I just recorded. But I'll tell you what we did. We pulled the metal rack off the front plastic part, you know, for the front rack. Was a little terrified of rust, decided not to care, pulled the bolts out anyway, fine. And then on the rear, we got out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we got 2 out. And they don't look good. They're a bit rusty. So I squirted some oil of the PB Blaster variety. And I suppose we're just going to wait for that oil to do something and then try to get them out without breaking the bolts. I would really like not to break those bolts. Yeah. Anyway. So after a bunch of PB Blaster, I was actually able to get the rest of them bolts out without breaking a single one of them. And that is a bloody miracle. But you can see these are, well, that one wasn't bad, but you can see all the rust. They were rusty, and I'm not sure how rust gets in there because these holes point down. So this rust is anti-gravity rust. That's what I'm thinking. So now this should just separate. There we go. And you can tell, like I was saying, this is pretty chewed up. It's got a little bit of surface rust, so we're going to have to do quite a bit of sanding, you know, to clean up that metal rack. Well, in case you can't tell, I'm shaking up some primer. Gone ahead and sanded down the rack. Started with some 80 grit, worked myself up to 320 grit. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. All right, so here's our 2 racks. Sanded them probably, you know, good enough. It's good enough for who it's for, you know what I mean? Look, this isn't a restoration. This is just, can we make it a little bit nicer than what it was? So that's what we're doing. I'm going to use this Rust-Oleum Professional Fast Drying Primer. High output, I don't know if it works or not. That's what we're going to use. Okay. I've been shaking it up for a while. Let's see if that's enough. And you can see I have my professional tarp here for spray painting. Well, that looks pretty good in my mind. I'm sure a lot of you are probably yelling at your screen, telling me this is not how you do it. And I'm sure you're right. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing what made sense to me. Oh, yeah, right there. I can see I missed a bit. That's okay. It's better than it was. And that's what we're aiming for. It's better than it was. That's the long distance primer over there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mess the rest of this up. I'll catch back up with you later. It's a couple days later, and I wanted to get the paint time to set up properly before we went ahead and put the racks back together. Let me show you the paint I used. It's a Rust-Oleum, whatever that says, Professional High Performance Enamel. High output tip, tough enough for industrial applications, it says. And this is the color called Stainless Steel. Now, I did buy another color called Aluminum, sprayed them on a bit of a tarp or whatever. I wanted to see which color would match best. The aluminum was honestly too bright and shiny. I wanted to be as close as possible to the original silver. And let me show them to you. So this is what we ended up with. It is almost exactly the same color that we started out with. It's not as shiny. It doesn't have the gloss finish. The originals, I don't know if they were powder coated or painted. I don't really know. But I think that's not too bad. Now, of course, there's probably a couple of runs, some places I missed while I was sanding, but look, This is not a full restoration job. I think I mentioned that before. If I did, I said it again. It's not a full restoration job. It's just, we're trying to make it better than it was, and I think we're going to succeed in making this thing better than it was. Well, let's go ahead and put these racks back together and get them mounted up to old Billy here. All right, since we did a wonderfully professional paint job, I don't want to scratch it up just yet, so I went ahead and stole a beach towel from the wife's closet in the house. She'll never know. And I'm going to take these old screws out. I had these just sitting in there while it was being painted. They're old and rusty. We got some new ones because, you know, it doesn't make sense to put some rusty things back in it. Of course, the threads inside are rusty, but that's fine. And we're just going to throw these away immediately. Bye-bye. All right, and then I need the rear rack, which is under the front rack, because why would it be on top? Here we are. And these racks did brighten up pretty nicely. I'm pretty happy with the way these turned out, at least on the top side. Let's see, can I do this one-handed? Probably. Oh, yeah. And why doesn't it fit? You came off of here. There it goes. Oh, that was a big sound. Okay. What do I do with the new hardware? I don't know. Let's go find it. Oh, here it is. Washer. And these are just 5/16 by 18 threads, you know, hex things. Nothing special. Some new washers. That's fine. The screws that came out of this rear rack here were measured them. I think they were about 7/8 inch long, so I just went ahead and got 3/4. I didn't want to go too long. 3/4 should be fine. That's plenty of threads. All right. I said they were what? So if they're 5/16, then that typically makes the socket head size a 1/2 inch. Let's check that theory out. Oh yeah, that theory is correct. All right, I guess we'll just, you know, put them on. Not bad. Not bad at all. I'm just going to give them a how you do it now with a ratchet. These don't need to be, you know, torqued until your elbow explodes. Just tight. Very good. Lovely. With that now, oh, we need to grab our spacers. Boom-ba-doop. And of course these spacers, they just set here. Yep. And we're going to grab our rack and install it. All right. And here we go. Already, I like it. So I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but this is the original bolts, screws that hold the racks down. Well, I just couldn't bear to put these ugly original bolts back in. So I went ahead and found the replacements from QuadLogic, and well, they look a lot better, and they look exactly like the originals. They're exact reproduction. So we're going to use these nice new fancier ones to bolt it back down. Yes. Okay. Yeah, man. Well, let's see how that turned out. This looks pretty dang good. And look at that. You can see the little big gun sneaking out the back right there. Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to be a lot of the same process on the front rack. I'm going to go ahead and get it set up on the bench right there, and then I'll join back up to you as we mount it back on the quad. ATV. Four-wheeler. You know what I mean. So, you know, this is just more of the same. Get them set on here. We've got our nice new Quad Logic screws here. And these don't exactly match the originals. The originals were some kind of, on this quad anyway, they were some sort of hex head. I think they've changed it a few times over the years, even though the threads in the plate that they mount to below are the same. In the older 97, 98s, they used a head like this, but it was like a number 3 Phillips. And then in this particular quad, it had some hex heads in it. But in Ruby, it uses these. So we're using these because I like them. So up under here, you've got a bolt that feeds through this bumper here, through the rack and into the rack extender. You just have to find the hole, stick it in there. Get the other side started. There we go. And now we're just going to tighten them all down. I'm just going to start with these up here. Lovely. And if you're curious what torque size, these are Torx 27 is what these all are. Perfect. And now we'll get the ones under here. I don't remember how I got those. These are the same 1/2 inch. We've been dealing with them. I don't know if this will reach. It will not. Oh, maybe it'll reach without the extension. Hold on. Oh, yeah. No? Yep. Perfect. Okay, so on the front of the quad here, there's some mesh to protect the radiator that's back there against rocks, debris, sticks, things like that. And it has a metal bit that goes over this. And while that thing, it was paint flaking off, some rust, so I went ahead and cleaned that up a bit and repainted it. And I figured I've done a number of, small custom things to it. So I can't find it. Here it is. I went ahead and painted it to match the racks. Why not? Now, y'all might disagree, but I figured that makes the front end of this pop a little bit. Either that or I'm just a big old dork. So with that, we are just about done with Billy. Well, who's calling me? Well, we've only got one thing left to do on this quad, and that's put these new grips on it. I went with the ODI Rogue Lock-On grips, and wouldn't you know it, they're gray. Look, these go on real simple. I'm gonna get a knife, cut the old ones off, and we'll just put these on real quick. Well, it's never a dull moment, let me tell you. Anyway, got the grips on. This one, we just had to fight and twist and push and fight and twist and push, and beating it with a hammer was the wrong thing to do because it may have broken a little bit of plastic inside the grip. These are not expensive, so may have to replace them someday. This one, however, this one just went right on. It was easy. And then finally, you know, you just put the screw in the clamp. And they actually gave you a little bit of Loctite, and they painted some of the blue Loctite on there. That's nice. That's probably good. Well, it does clamp on there pretty good. You know, Ruby's got the old style clamp on where it had a clamp here and one out at the end. I like these, a little easier to deal with. I think they're a little cheaper. Not gonna lie, I like the gray grips. Well, here he is. Let's just give a brief overview of everything we've got into this thing. You know, the first thing we did is tear it down. We had to clean it. It was a mess. There was rust, dirt, grease, grime, all kinds of just yuck all over the thing. You know, we got in here, replaced all 4 axles, had to beat the snot out of the one on the other side to get it out. Remember, we replaced the shocks right there. That was fun. And here's something that I've been keeping a bit of a secret. You know, obviously we were going to put new tires because the originals, well, they were just rotted. And we went with the Sunf, S-U-N-F brand tire. But also notice the wheels. We managed to hook up with a company called Rock Tricks Racing Wheels, and they have some ATV wheels. And let me tell you, those look nice. Now, of course, in order to make those fit, we had to put longer wheel studs. Those came from Muzzies off the Amazon website. Hiding up in here, you can see a little bit of the big gun pipe, but if you come back here, you can see a lot of bit of the big gun pipe. Obviously rebuilt the carburetor. Then after we rebuilt the carburetor, we rejetted the carburetor. Rebuild kit from the Freedom County ATV. You can find them on Amazon. The rejet came from Dynajet. Difficult to find, especially if you live in the state that I do. What else? Obviously we registered it in California. That was not easy. Cleaned up the racks. Those look pretty good. Put some new grips on. Yep. And while we were doing custom things, we went ahead and put the Kimimoto gear shift lever on there. I like that pretty good. You know, we've obviously put in a new air filter. Went with the Uni, my favorite air filter for any of these off-road vehicles. Managed to find ourselves on the eBay website, a company that makes keys very easy for you to get new ones, and of course put a new thing on there, so that works nice. But let's not forget the biggest upgrade of all that we did to this thing, and that's the power steering. It's hard to see it all, but you know, you've got the brain to it right there. Look back in there, you've got the motor, and then most importantly, it's easy to steer now. So I don't really know what's next for this quad. You know, we're gonna have to do something about the glow worms in a can. You know, the headlights. I took the LED light bar out. I really didn't care for the way it looked in there. Wanted to see what this would look like with the more you know, traditional OEM front end for now. We're going to do something about those lights at some point, I'm sure. But you know what's next for this thing? We've got to get it out. We've got to ride it. We have to see if it's going to work. You know, it works great coming out of the garage and doing circles in the driveway here, but I have no idea if it's going to work in the desert. But that's what's next. We got to get it out and ride it. I want to thank you all for joining me for this build. I know it's been a long time and a lot of videos to get through, but I want to thank you all for sticking around with me and hanging out while we put this thing together. It's been a fun project. I look forward to the next one. No, I just look forward to riding it. You know, I'm sure we have a lot more things coming, more camping trips, more working on things. We got to get these rigs out, get the family out, get to camping, get to riding, get to exploring, and get to adventuring. Make sure you don't miss a video and hang out with us every chance you get. Make sure you subscribe. It means a lot to me. It really does. And I appreciate every single one of you that have been watching me. Go ahead and like the video, maybe share it with your friends, have a watch party. But anyway, I guess that'll do it. In the meantime, you ride safe and we'll see you later. Bye-bye now.